Okay, hi Danny. Welcome to lesson number 49. This one is going to be super fun for you. You are really going to like it. It's about stories about equal groups. And since you're super smart already and you kind of know this stuff, you are going to recognize right away that this is a lesson about multiplication story problems. So you are going to do great with this one. You're going to start out with 64 multiplication facts. So that is a lot. Okay, you're going to have 5 minutes to do them. Don't worry if you don't do them all because multiplication is really tricky, especially when you're trying to do it fast. So take your time and try and get the right answer. It's okay if you don't finish. And then we'll go into mental math and then the new lesson. Okay, I hope you enjoy it today. Bye. Okay, hi there, Danny. Good job on your facts practice, because you should have done that by now. 64 multiplication facts. Woo! That was a big one, huh? Now we are going to jump right into the lesson. This is lesson number 49, and this one's going to be really, really fun, and I think that you're going to understand it really well. And it's going to be stories about equal groups, and it's just part 1 when we're talking about stories about equal groups. And basically, you're going to realize what it is when we're talking about equal groups is we're doing multiplication. It's going to be great. All right. I do have some pictures of cars for you, but because I wanted to get different pictures of cars, these are not going to move because I just got them from the internet. So some of them don't move. Sorry about that. All right, so then we're going to do mental math. Mental math. Let's just go ahead and jump right in, okay? On this one, they want us to add the hundreds first, like the 2 and the 1, and then the tens, the 5 and the 5, and then the ones. But you'll notice with these and with these, you have to regroup. So you're going to have to do that maybe in your head. So see if you can do it. Hope you don't get too distracted by this Roblox guy, because after I put him here, I realized he's actually very distracting. So let's see if we can do it. A is 258 plus 154. Okay, so after the Roblox guy, I thought I need some pictures that are slightly less distracting. So I put some beautiful nature pictures here for you. B, we're going to do 367 plus 265. Write your answer. C, I thought this was a really beautiful nature picture, very relaxing. C is 587 plus 354. Write your answer. This is a lot of carrying the 1 in your head, so don't forget to carry that 1. D is going to be 54 plus 19 plus 110. E is going to be 620 plus 40 plus 115. For F, we're going to do 480 minus, we're doing subtraction this time, 115. Look at that picture. I think I see Dory in there. Do you? Okay, let's jump into problem solving. This one is a little tricky. We're going to see if you can get it. It says from point A to point B, so this distance is 1 1/4 inches. So I'm going to write 1 1/4. And you can kind of see how it is because this is the 1 inch, and then it's divided into 4 spots. And it goes past the 1 inch into one more tick mark. So the total distance is this much. Okay. Now it says, how many inches is it from point B to point C? So they want to know, what is this distance? If you had to measure that, what would it be? Okay, so that's a little tricky. I'm going to let you pause it right there and see if you can figure that out, okay? And I'm going to jump right into this new concept. All right, so here we go. Basically, what they say here is that in the past, we have had lots of story problems. And you know that some of the story problems have an addition pattern. I like the addition pattern. It's like you have 3 marbles, someone gives you 3 more marbles. How many marbles do you have? Something like that. An addition pattern is going to have 3 numbers in it. It's a number that you start with, a number that you add to that, and the final number is your total. Okay? And the interesting thing is that if you know 2 of the numbers, you can always figure out the third one. And this is what I think is really cool to remember when you're taking tests and stuff like that, because you can always figure out the third one because they have to give you 2 out of the 3. And if they give you 2 out of the 3, then you know you can figure out the third one. For example, let's say you have 1 supercar and you end up with 3 supercars. What number did you add to the 1? And you can always figure that out. In this case, it would turn into a subtraction problem because you have to do the inverse operation and realize that the question mark is 2. But it doesn't matter how they give you these numbers. They might give you like a 400 here and a 200 here, and then you can figure out that last one, right? And then you would be able to do it just by adding. Or they could make it more complicated and do a 400 here and a 600 here and make you figure out this one. But if you know 2 out of the 3, you can always figure out that other one. Okay? So, addition patterns have 3 numbers, and this is what they gave us for an example. 5 marbles plus 7 marbles is 12 marbles, but I figured you thought it might be pretty boring if you're only talking about marbles. So I say we change it. What if we are talking about supercars? Okay, so you start out with 5 supercars, and maybe you win a contest and you win 7 more supercars. Whoops, I didn't mean to take that. 7 more supercars. How many cars would you need to find garage space for? And it turns out you would have to find garage space for 12 cars, right? Okay, let's move on from there. Other stories have a subtraction pattern. And a subtraction pattern also has 3 numbers. And also, if you know 2 of the numbers, you can figure out the third number. So I made it into cars again. What if you start out with 12 cars and you have to sell 7 of your cars? How many cars would you have left? There you go. It would be 5 cars. But they might be tricky and not give you this number, right? So in this case, they would say, you start out with 12 cars and you had to sell some of them. You end up with 5 cars. How many cars did you have to sell? And you could still figure out that you had to sell 7 cars by subtracting 12 minus 5. And you already know how to do that. But it's just making the point that if you're doing a subtraction pattern, you only need 2 out of the 3 numbers. You can find the last one. Now, the new concept is these types of stories that have a multiplication pattern. So that's different than what we have doing. But what's the same is that the multiplication pattern also has 3 numbers. Just like addition and subtraction, it's only going to have 3 numbers. And if you know 2 of the numbers, you can find out the third one. So it's really not that much harder, and I know that you can do it. I changed this example into cars again because I just don't think marbles is very interesting. In the example on your paper, on the bottom of page 224, it says 8 marbles in each bag. But I changed it. What if you have 8 cars in each garage? It must be kind of a big garage, huh? If you have 8 cars in each garage, and then you have 3 garages total, how many total cars would you have? So you have 8 cars in each garage, and you have 3 garages. How many total cars would you have? And the way that you find that answer is you multiply. And you would realize you have 24 cars, because it's kind of like 3 groups of 8. So, stories that have a multiplication pattern are the same as equal groups stories. And what you do to figure out equal group stories is you take the number that is in each group, okay, and then the number of groups, and you multiply them together. So if we were talking about cars and garage, the number in each group, like let's say that's a garage, and you have 8 cars. So I'm just trying to draw these kind of fast, but let's see if I can make it better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They look more like bugs than garage, but maybe they're slug bugs. Okay, so I made a garage, and in each garage I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars in the garage. So the number in each group, and then you take the number of groups. So to do that, it's kind of like this. I have one garage that looks like this, but I really have 3 garages. So the number in each group is going to be 8. The number of each group, so the number of garages I have is 3. And then 8 times 3 is 24 cars total. All right. If you do it instead of up and down like that and you do it sideways, you have the number of groups here times the number in each group, and you get your total. And then they show us a way to do it, think about it in sort of a diagram. And a diagram just means like it's a picture that kind of explains what they want you to know. So you start out with the number of groups right here, the number of groups. And you have 3 groups, so it's 3 garages. 1, 2, 3. And then you have the number in each group, which is 8. 8, 8, 8. And then the total in all groups, you're going to multiply those numbers together. 3 times 8. Why? Because it's 3 groups of 8. Usually whenever you say the word of, like 3 groups of 8, that means you're going to multiply. All right, let's jump in and do example 1 and see if we can do it. Because I think that you already know this concept, but if you don't understand it, just write in your homework, I don't understand, and we'll go over it later, okay? So this says, Ted has 5 cans of tennis balls. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a can of tennis balls, but it looks like this. So it comes in a package that it's hard to see because the bottle is transparent, but that's like a can. It looks more like a bottle, like a pop bottle that's see-through. Ted has 5 cans of tennis balls, and there are 3 tennis balls in each can. See? 1, 2, 3. Now, how many tennis balls does he have? So he doesn't just have this can. He has 5 cans total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have to say, basically, he has 5 groups of 3. Does that make sense? All right, let's look at the pattern and figure it out. The first part, we figure out the number inside each group. How many are inside each group? Well, there are 3 tennis balls in each can. And then we have to figure out the number of groups, or the number of cans. And he has 5 cans. And then you multiply those together to get the total, and you have 15 tennis balls total. Now, what if we do the problem sideways? That's why I showed you this little picture. Look at them. They are basically writing sideways when they go around that corner. Is that crazy or what? How scary is that? Oh man, they are so close to the ground. If they just bump it, oh my goodness, I would not want to see that. Alrighty, so here's the pattern, but this time it's sideways. You have the number of groups. So the number of groups is how many cans does he have? And that's right here. So how many cans does he have? He has 5 cans. They started out a little differently this time instead of starting with the number in each group, just to show you that it doesn't matter. It can be done both ways because of the commutative property of multiplication. The next number is the number in each group. So how many are in each can? And I think you know there are 3 tennis balls in each can. And so for this, we say 5 times 3 equals 15. 15 tennis balls. There's another supercar for you. All right, example 2. Let's jump into example 2 because I think you are understanding this. This is the last example, so pay lots of attention. You know they get trickier. It says 12 eggs make a dozen. Yeah, we already knew that. We know that. 12 eggs equals 1 dozen. How many eggs make 5 dozen? Okay, so in this situation, it's not like a container, like a garage or a can. The group is going to be a dozen, and that's what they are going to call a group. So if I do like, this is a dozen, and there's 12 eggs in it. This is another dozen, and there's 12 eggs in it. Now, they want to know how many eggs make 5 dozen. So how many groups do we have? Well, we're going to have 5 groups or 5 dozens, right? So I already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. All right, I think you know how to do it, but let's go through it. We start out with the number of groups. So we're going to put how many dozens below? 5 dozens. Then we multiply it by the number in each group. So we're going to multiply it by the number of eggs in each dozen. So that's going to be 12 eggs, because 12 eggs make a dozen. 5 times 12. Woo! Do you know your 12 multiplication facts? If I am thinking correctly at this time, it is 60 eggs. All right, it takes 60 eggs to make 5 dozen. So if I wanted 5 dozen eggs, you know what? We've had that many before. Because one time I had to freeze dry eggs, or I didn't have to, but I wanted to freeze dry eggs, and we freeze dried about 5 dozen eggs. That is 60 eggs. Is that cool or what? We are ready for the apocalypse, baby. And since we were talking so much about eggs and cars, I combined it with this little chicken riding in a car. Isn't it so cute? Anyway, I thought you would like it. That's it for your lesson for today, Danny. Hope you enjoyed it. Good luck doing your homework. Love ya. Bye.